Hi there, let's continue with the nervous system, and we're going to begin by looking at spinal cord. I've got a few things highlighted that you definitely need to know and a few things marked out that you can kind of go easy on. For spinal cord, we're going to be looking at spinal nerves, including dorsal root, ventral root, dorsal root ganglia. Let's begin over here on this model. So, since we need to see spinal nerves and then dorsal root and ventral root, let's just begin here. The main part we've got right here is the spinal cord. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Over here we have a spinal nerve. This spinal nerve is made up of two parts, the dorsal root and the ventral root. And the dorsal root is obvious because it's got this swelling on it that's on your list to learn. That's the dorsal root ganglion. So we can see those really, really well on this model on both sides, of course. We can see those also on this model, so you might see these on the exam as well. There's a spinal nerve, there's the dorsal root and the ventral root, and this swelling right there is the dorsal root ganglion. Let's set that aside. And on this model, yet again, we see the spinal nerve sort of coming off to the side, but there's the dorsal root ganglion right there, and that smaller one would be the ventral root. So let's set that aside and move on to the next thing we need to find. The next thing we need to find, number 8 and 9, are the dorsal gray horn and the ventral gray horn. So dorsal gray horn and ventral gray horn, number 8 and 9. Let's take a look at, you know what, this model probably shows that really, really well. I like the way this does this now. Instead of thinking gray on this one, it's coming in as sort of a brown. Other models do show that as gray, but as we take a look at this, this is the dorsal side of the spinal cord. This is the ventral side of the spinal cord. And I know that because the dorsal horn, by the way, all this gray matter looks for all the world like a butterfly. There's the wing on this side, connected in the middle. The dorsal horn goes all the way out to the edge of the cord. The ventral horn does not go to the edge of the cord. So this would be the dorsal gray matter. The dorsal gray horn. This is the ventral gray horn. Up here, we see dorsal gray horn, ventral gray horn. And I like that they've got the gray matter sort of extruded out from the white matter on this one. So let's look at this model. And this model did something a little different. It extruded the gray here. It even extruded the white. So on this side, we see the dorsal gray horn here, the ventral gray horn here. On this one, dorsal gray horn, ventral gray horn. Over on this model, turn and tilt, kind of look down, we have dorsal gray horn and ventral gray horn down here. So that should find dorsal and ventral gray horn pretty well. We also need to find the posterior median sulcus and the anterior median fissure. A sulcus is not as deep as a fissure. So when we look at the spinal cord proper, this one has got a light dent on the posterior, and we see that right here. That is the posterior median sulcus. But the little indentation is much deeper on the ventral side. That is the ventral median fissure. Sorry, ventral and anterior are the same thing. Dorsal and posterior are the same thing. So this is the anterior or ventral median fissure. We see that here also. This and this is the posterior median sulcus. And we can see those same things here as well. This is really, really obvious that here on the anterior or ventral side that little fold is much, much deeper. That is the anterior median fissure. And up here, we have a little bit less indented posterior median sulcus. So there is the posterior median sulcus. There is the anterior median fissure. This model is going to serve us really, really well for something else we need to see, and that is the meninges that surround both the spinal cord and the brain. These are referred to as mater, dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. Mater is the word for meninges. It literally is Latin for mother. These protect and surround the brain and spinal cord. So we have dura mater on the outside, arachnoid mater in the middle, and pia mater on the inside. Let's look at this model, and we can sort of see those. This outer rim right here is the dura mater. Underneath that, the thinner line is the arachnoid. There's a space below that you don't need to know. And then right up against the spinal cord proper is the pia mater. If you translate that from Latin, it would mean little mother. So there's the pia mater, or little mother, right up against the spinal cord. Way out here is the dura mater, or tough mother, durable. And then that thinner line right there is the arachnoid. If we look around the brain, which I have a slice of here, we can see those as well. Out here, we have the dura mater. Right up against the brain in a thin red line, we have the pia mater. And then that orangey line underneath the dura is the arachnoid mater. So we see those pretty well. Over here, we see those nicely as well. There's the dura, and right up against the brain is the pia, and there's the arachnoid right there. So that should take care of the meninges for us. Where else do we need to go? Ventricles of the brain. Hey, we did those on another model. We've already, on another video. We've covered those in our day 1 video. Blood supply, told you on the first video we don't need to see those. The next thing we need to take a look at is spinal nerves. And I'm just going to walk over here and point out that as we take a look at this vertebral column on this particular model, we see spinal nerves sort of sticking off the side here. So those would be spinal nerves. You can even get really, really picky and start counting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's actually 8 cervical nerves. We have 12 lumbar. We're not going to get too deep into that. Just realize that they are there. Coming back over here, we're going to move into the arm and the leg as we look for ulnar nerve, median nerve, and radial nerve. Now, again, knowing skeleton helps. Where's the ulna? That's on the little finger side of the hand. Where's the radius? That's on the thumb side of the hand. So as we look at this arm, thumb side of the hand, what do we say that is again? That's the radius. So there would be the radial nerve. On the little finger side of the hand, that's the ulnar nerve. And the one in the middle. Anybody want to take a wild guess on that? Yep, that's median. So that would be the radial, ulnar, and middle nerve. Or, sorry, median nerve. Now, sciatic nerve. For that, we got to go to the lower limb, the thigh in particular. You often hear of people, especially older people, having sciatic pain. This is the largest nerve in the body. And if we take a look back here, I'm going to take the toes and point them away from us. We're looking at the back of the thigh. This big old massive monster right here is the sciatic nerve. Very easy to spot. Massive thing, about as big around as a pencil. This leg is sort of 3/4 size. So it is, if it was life size, that would be about as big around as a pencil. That's it. That's kind of massive. So those are the major nerves I need you to find. These others we're not going to worry about. And then we need to move into cranial nerves. You'll learn about these in the lecture. You have interesting terms to learn those that you'll learn in the lecture. But we have 12 of these. There's the olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibulocochlear, which has got a vestibular and a cochlear branch, glossopharyngeal, vagus, and accessory and hypoglossal. Let me go get one more model, which I need to show you something. That would be this model right here. Forgive me while I walk back through our document. And I want to show you one of my favorite tricks. And one of my favorite tricks is that you just count to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you can count to 12, you're off to a good start. And my suggestion is start with this model, except you can't. So let me begin with this brain model. And I want to point something out on this one. And what I'm pointing out right here on the underside of the brain, that is the olfactory tract. Olfactory nerve is the very first one. Now I want you thinking of this as looking like the handle of a toothbrush. And I'm sorry to do this to you. I just realized I need one more model to show you this. If you look at the handle of a toothbrush, it doesn't do you much good without the bristles on the brush. The bristles on the brush are olfactory nerves. So I'll go get the big half head model and we can have a discussion about that. Then we'll move on with the counting. So let me go get that model. My apologies, I shouldn't walk around on you this much, but I will. In fact, I'll just leave this model here. What the heck? We can bring it back with us. And as we bring it back with us, we can see our document floating in the air there. Excuse me while I walk right through that and set back down. And as I bring this model over, this, as I said before, is the olfactory tract. It's like the handle on the toothbrush and the bristles stick off of it like this. So as we look at the half head, there's our olfactory bulb at the very end of the olfactory tract. And if we look right there, those are cranial nerve number 1. So you can't see it on any place else in the room except right here. Cranial nerve number 1 is right there. Let's get this big guy out of our way. He's going to be in the way. We're going to get this guy out of our way. We started with 1 because we can't, actually that was 1 was right there, right? We can't see 1 on this model, but we see everything else on there. So I ask you to start off just simply by counting to 1. The next thing we have is right here. This is cranial nerve number 2. I'll hold that up like this. Hopefully we can see all of these. That's number 2. Then that is number 3. And then that is number 4. And that is number 5. And we learned the other day that this is the pons. So from 5, we've got to jump across the pons to get to 6. And then we start going off to the side. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then down here, like the handrail on a set of stairs, is 11. And this stuff is actually shaped like a J. We go from the front to the back. 1 is up here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Jump the pons to get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then the J part is we jump back up here. This is 12. So what I would like you to do is just get familiar with counting to 12 with 1, sort of, but not really 1, 1, which connects to the olfactory bulb, which is part of the olfactory tract. Then we get to 2, which is optic. Then we get to 3, which is oculomotor. But don't put names to them at first. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, jump the pons to get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is the rail, 12. Once you can count to 12, then you come back and start putting names to them as you learn them. You'll learn that 1 is olfactory, 2 is optic, 3 is oculomotor, 4 is trochlear, 5 is trigeminal, 6 is abducens, 7 is facial, 8 is vestibulocochlear, 9 is glossopharyngeal, 10 is vagus, 11 is accessory, and 12 is hypoglossal. Now, I did go get another model. The reason I went to get another model is number 8, vestibulocochlear. That handles your hearing and your balance, and we need to work those out. We're going to, in the next video, take a look at the ear and the inner ear in particular, and we'll talk about in that next video what part helps you with hearing, what part helps you with balance. But I want to take a look at this model now, and I want to point out a couple of things that we will see in our special senses model. This little coil here that's like a snail shell, that's the part of the inner ear that deals with hearing, and these big old half circles are the part that deals with balance. And you can see that this nerve is split. This part goes to the part that deals with balance. That is the vestibular nerve right there. And this on the back of the coil here is the cochlear nerves. So these two together make up the vestibulocochlear, and I definitely want you to be able to tell the cochlear nerve from the vestibular nerve, as they together make up the vestibulocochlear, which is once again number 8. So vestibular would be this part right here, cochlear would be this part right here. Much more about these when we go through our special senses video. But as you scroll down, I've noted useful info ends here. We have a whole set of 35 millimeter slides that one of our professors likes to use. We do not use these 35 millimeter slides at all. There are a lot of structures you need to learn in here on models, but we'll do those on models. We are not going to do these 35 millimeter slides at all. So keep on scrolling, and now we're down to the table of cranial nerves. I'm going to have you be able to identify those, but I'm not going to worry about foramina or functions on those on the practical part of the test. So you're pretty good with that. As we keep on scrolling, you'll notice that, yeah, that's the end of that page. So when I wrote useful information ends here, that's exactly what I meant. I want you to be able to identify those cranial nerves. First learn to count to 12, then learn their names. Go back up here. In the lower limb, the thigh, you'll learn the sciatic nerve. In the arm, you'll learn ulnar, median, and radial. Keep in mind that ulnar is for the ulna. That's going to be on the little finger side. Radial is on the thumb side, and median is in the middle of those. Surprise, surprise. Spinal nerves, you find those all along the spinal cord. Easy to spot. We did the ventricles of the brain on day 1. Meninges we did today. We did those both on the brain and the spinal cord. For the brain, we used this model. So look at the layers around here. We had the tough mother, the little mother, and the spider mother in the middle of that. Dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid mater. And for the spinal cord, we used this model. We had the dura mater, the arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. Easy to spot. And then for the spinal cord, we looked at the dorsal root, ventral root, and dorsal root ganglion. Best on that, probably this model. We did the spinal nerve, dorsal root, ventral root, and dorsal root ganglion. We also did the gray horn, dorsal, and ventral. And you can find those all the models we looked at. So that, I think, should get you through all of this particular set of material I need you to find. We also did the sulcus and the fissure. So I think that covers everything we need for nervous system day 2. I want to thank you for your time, and I'm going to be out of here. Take care.